Hey woodworkers. Okay, so looking at my drawings here, I am starting to assemble what's going to be the tabletop for this Demilune. So the first thing that I did is I glued on a solid edge on the back. I know I've talked to other woodworkers that do Demilune tables and they don't do this step, and I just feel like that's such a disappointment because I want the top edge of this to be wrapped in solid wood, and if you don't do it as a first step and you glue on side pieces, or if this curve continues and then glue on solid after the fact, then you're going to see the end grain here poking out of the ends of the piece, and it looks like an afterthought. So alright, so gluing this thing on, you'll notice that there is a little extension, so this solid piece is thicker than that of the MDF, and that is true of all of this material as well. It's going to be a little bit thicker. Not a ton, but I want to be able to have enough thickness on these pieces so when I'm gluing them on, I don't have to worry about aligning these things perfectly. I just want to make sure I can get these things on and then deal with it later, get them down to the same thickness. Alright, now this is set. What I've done is I've continued the curvature of my tabletop, and using my bow I transferred that curve here. Actually, it was on this face, so I was watching this, again, edge sander to kind of true this thing up, and so now I have the overall dimension of the curve set. What I need to do now is remove some of this material. So this is 2 1/4 inches, which for what I'm planning on doing here, and specifically the edge treatment. So I'm going to route out a little modified OG piece here on the bottom edge. But I need to have solid wood to do that. If I were to just do edge banding, which I hate even suggesting, but if I were to do edge banding here, I can't route those edges, and those corners are so incredibly vulnerable. So what I'm going to do is trim this back, cut all this off on the bandsaw. I'm not going to worry about how accurate that curve is. I'm just going to get it close to my line, and that's all that matters. What is important is that because this is the overall dimension of the tabletop, I'm going to trim it down to length. You'll see these ends here as well, because again, I've got this ridiculous 6-leg table, so 2, 4, 6. I need to square those off. So legs here and here, here and here, somewhere in there. Okay, so this edge is being trued up. I need to keep this. So after I saw this thing off, I need to keep this piece because I'm going to use it later. I cannot discard this without having to start over in some capacity. So I'm going to save this. You'll also notice that I've got the center line going through. The marks are just on this face, so I can't invert this curve once I've separated the two parts, and that's important. Okay, so 2 1/4 inches here, that's great, and I'll start filling this in with solid wood. What I need to do, and I did off camera, I should have waited, I can do it this way, is just sorting out what that dimension is. So I landed at 2 1/4 inches. There you are. So 2 1/4 inches, and I need to now carry this thing over. And a lot of people talk about using a compass or some type of divider, and that's great. Those systems work. But if I just lock in the position of my pencil and I use these fingertips to maintain this position, I can carry this curve all the way across. And by doing that, then that's good. That's all I need to do. So, next step, I'm going to go to the bandsaw, cut this stuff off. Again, I'm not worried about the quality of the cuts that I'm left with. I just need to separate this part. So, let me do that, and then we'll talk about next steps.